We fucking live, dude. We fucking live, dude. Are we fucking live, dude? Dude, we fucking live. We're fucking live, dude. Welcome to the stream. 'Cause we're fucking live, dude. But no, welcome to the stream. A bit late, yes. But I have a reason for that. Oh god, I'm lagging. But I have a reason for that. I slept. I slept in because I was like, fuck it. Why not? So yeah. Why is it so laggy? The stream's being very goony. But yeah, so this is probably the last week it'll be early. Around this time, I guess. Because, this time next week I'll be just getting home from school probably. So, yeah. Wait, is there... Do I have a setting that's like, oh, you're fucking it? Oh, I need to turn my shader on. Yes, because that'll fix it. What's custom GUI? Wait. Oh, shit. What did I just do? Hello. Oh, that just brought it down. Then I'll bring it down to 1, and then we'll be all... Hopefully... Oh, that brought it off. I want it up 1. There we go. No emissive textures are rendered as overlays with full brightness. Simulate light. I want them on. Custom fonts. Default, I guess. Connected textures. I want them fast. I'll probably turn them off though. Yup. I want them on, bitch. Yo, bitch. I want them on. Mr. White. I want them on. Alright, so possibly, hopefully that worked. And a little bit, we're not doing too much today. So, welcome to Minecraft Friday. But like I said, this will probably be the last one around this time. Next week's will probably be closer to 5-ish, probably, because school starts next week. So, yeah, there would be no way I'd be able to do it at this time. Possibly I could, but I wouldn't want to do it as the moment I get home. So, yeah, so basically, this will be the last one. Early afternoon, the next, for the next 9 months or however long school lasts, until May, next year, if I'm still doing this, I guess, will be evening time, like 5-ish. Or if I have a Friday off of school, then it'll probably be early. Or if I have something going on a Friday, then obviously I can't do it. But I'll let you guys know over Twitter or some shit like that. So, yeah. Welcome to the stream, dude. We're not doing much today. Oh, sorry. I wish there was a way to make them turn their heads different ways. That'd be neat. Like, the pork chop makes them go the other way, and then chicken makes them go the other way. That'd be neat. You two don't piss me off, okay? Okay? Alright, so, basically what we're doing today is I have all this shit, and I got a brewing stand from a village, I'm pretty sure it was. But today we're gonna be building Patty's Pub, but it's Trevi's Pub. So it's Trevi's Dakotan Pub. So yeah, and we're gonna build it atop this hill. So I spent last night kind of flattening it out. Granted, I didn't have to do much to do that, but I did it. So yeah, we're gonna be using polished granite to make like the brick. And yeah, wait a minute. I don't really think this out, did I? Wait, so how many is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, yeah, then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then, oh, wait. Wait, this is fucked up then. Well, shit. All I know is one side's 9 and the other's 6. Wait. How many is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Shit. I fucked up somewhere. Because I made this in a different world. Oh, wait, no, I didn't. Okay, yeah. Okay, this works. So, yeah, and then take out... Wait a minute. Oh, no, I just went at the wrong place. Because... Yeah, okay, that works. And then it's 1, 8. And then... But yeah, I'm not doing the door quite yet. And the reason it's 3 is because for Patty's Pub, it's like the door and then there's 2 windows to the side of it, so I'm doing that. You know, I was gonna turn on some tunes. But the thing is, I want to play copyrighted shit, and I don't know whether or not I should. If YouTube's gonna fuck me or not and block this. Because that's what happened with the birthday stream. That's why instead of the VOD for that being 6 hours, it's only 4. And that's why you can see the YouTube player. Because it was god dang goony. Because I just played a playlist. And I was like, oh, you can't do that. I was like, fuck you. Fuck you, YouTube. I'm quitting. I'm going to Twitch. That was around the time I started streaming, though. That's why I did the birthday stream. And then, little did I know it was going to become what I wanted to be a yearly thing. As far as I know, it'll only be able to be a thing for this year, next year. Because who knows whether or not Bobby and Jacob will stay in town. They probably won't, because they'll probably go to college. I won't. So, yeah. Alright. There we go, and then... Ah, shit, I should have did this before. Fuck. I need to grab some dirt, and I should also sleep, too, so phantoms don't come. Some shits are scary. Yeah, I don't know if I said this, but when I was building the Coke sign, some phantoms just came swooping in, and I didn't know what they were, and I was like, that's fucking scary, dude. But yeah, the last stream got claimed, which is stupid, because I was playing the lo-fi hip-hops. Ah, fuck, I was gonna grab dirt. But yeah, so I, but yeah, last stream got claimed, and I was like, well, grand. That's what I wanted. Because I was playing the lo-fi hip-hop stuff, and it was like, oh, nope, can't. And I was like, well, fuck me then. Not like it's copyright free. Apparently fucking not. Whatever the fuck kind of cow you are, fuck you. You lied. And no one likes a liar. Alright, now I gotta do the scaling. Why said I like that? I don't know. Yeah, this time I got all the materials before I started the stream. I actually knew what I wanted to do today. Hey, Ferb, what do you want to do today? Ferb, I got an idea. That's what it's like coming up with stuff for Minecraft. What do you want to do today? And it's like, I know what I'm going to do today. Now I understand Phineas and Ferb. Dude, that's funny. I played it almost all summer vacation. That's funny. Minecraft is my Phineas and Ferb summer vacation. I have plenty. Yeah, I got an extra stack just to be safe. Because like I said, I think I said this at least. But I made this in a creative world. And then I just was like, alright, that looks good. I like that. Just kind of testing it, seeing how it would look. And from what I could tell, it looked decent. So yeah, there's that. So yeah, really, this is nothing. For some reason, I thought this was going to take longer to build, but really, I'm just building a box. What took a while was making all the materials, so I guess I could have did that on stream. But, yeah, I don't know. I just wanted to make this close to Patty's Pub. So I tested it last night, and I was like, you know what, I can use the blocks I added in 1.8, because they have no use at all. So, yeah, why not? Ah, shit. Using that aside from glass and... Which I just learned how to make, because I've never made it before, because I've never really been into building. But, I found out you needed 8 pieces of glass, and then you just needed 1 die, and I was like, oh, good. Wait, I forgot. How did I do this? Did I do it with Here, I'm gonna look. Excuse me if the stream gets laggy as shit, because I'm loading a world. That tends to happen if I do it over on Twitch. Oh, no. Green terracotta? How do you get terracotta? God damn it. Whoa, I got a notification I didn't know about. Oh, yeah, I did. I just got it when I first woke up, so I didn't give a shit. How to make terracotta. Terracotta or hardened clay. Where to find? I needed a clay block, and then can you make stain? How do you make colored terracotta? How to make green terracotta. 8 terracotta and 1 green dye. Oh, so it's a lot like the glass. Nice. You know what? I'm gonna play music. I'm not gonna play what I want to do though. Just so that then there's not the possibility of this getting blocked. Just getting claimed. Because it doesn't matter if these get claimed because they're unlisted anyway. So if people want them, they'll get them. Oh, this is loud actually. Excuse you? Alright there. So I need to get clay then. I know where there's is some, but I just would like to see if I have any. Nope, I don't have any left over. Shit. Oh yeah, I also got name tags too. Name tags out the ass. Oh shit. I need a new shovel, because this shit's gonna break. Where is it? I know there's somewhere around here. Is this it? Or is this gravel? This is gravel. Did I take it all when I built the bell tower? Where's all the clay? There it is. So I only need a couple blocks of it. Oh wait, no. I need a fair bit of blocks, actually. So I want 2. Wait, so is this how you make clay? Yeah. Alright, so 9. And I'm sure it'll give you a lot of terracotta then. Or well, wait. No. Well, if you smelt it then, or if you make it green terracotta after you smelt it, then I'm sure it'll give you a fair bit. But if not, I'm gonna be pissed. Because Minecraft proportions make about as little sense as toilet paper proportions. I don't know. I just saw it on TikTok and I was like, well done. I never thought I'd make a TikTok, but then I did the try not to laugh and I was like, you know, TikToks are kind of funny. And then I heard someone on stream talking about, on a stream, not on my stream, talking about TikTok, and I was like, you know what? Fuck it, I'll make one. Because when I made the video, I had no intentions of making one, but I was just like, TikToks are funny sometimes, but I could care less. But now I got one, and they're pretty goony. Pretty goony sometimes. And a thing I've learned with TikTok is there's so many different types of people who do it. There's like old people who do it, there's young people who do it, there's middle-aged people who do it. It was surprising to me. I thought it was like a lot of just like people my age, a little older than me, a little younger than me. I expected it to be a lot of that, but no, it's people from all age demographics. Boomers, Zoomers. There's boomers, there's millennials, there's whatever came before millennials, and Generation Z, and soon to be Alpha. Alpha was 2010, right? Or was that 2012? I don't know. I looked it up yesterday because I was curious what my parents were. My dad's a millennial because he's pretty young. Well, it's not technically too young, but he was young when he had me. He was like 22. But yeah, now he's gonna be 40 next year. Because he was a born and good old lady. Why you give a shit, I don't know. How does this look? It looks okay. There. Now I need a birch door, bitch. Do I have one? Do I have birch at least? I've been streaming for 20 minutes and I'm almost done with what I wanted to do. Oof. I may end up going mining. But then again, what do I need? I have 3.5 stacks of diamonds. I have plenty of iron. There's nothing I really need. The only thing I need to go mining for is to get my levels up, because I'd like to get mending. What the fuck? Why are you on a shroom? Dude, speaking of, the fair's in town, and I went yesterday just with my mom and my brother. We went and we just had some fair food. We didn't do anything past that, but I was walking home because they still wanted to go because we had like there were animals and stuff there, and they wanted to go through that, and I was like, I could care less. So then I was like, you know what, I'm gonna go home, and I start walking home because none of us drive. My mom doesn't drive. I don't drive. My brother's too young. But he would if he could. I need to find birch. So I'm just gonna wander around. Yeah. So, what was I saying? Oh yeah. So I was walking home, and I was just walking like on right next to the curb, and I looked down and I'm like, oh, is that a mushroom? And I look down, I get close to it, I'm like walking past it. It starts to move. I'm like, oh fuck! I didn't scream anything, but I jumped and I was like, oh, that's a turtle, not a mushroom. very confused. I was like, what the fuck? It's a walking mushroom. Is that Toad from Mario? Whoa, look, a llama. I still don't know what they're called. Are they llamas or alpacas? Who knows? There's something. Whoa, that's a far drop. Probably won't kill me though. Oh, you know what else I could do today? I could look for or not look for, but I can get some blaze rods. I can go to the nether and get blaze rods. Cause I don't know what if I have enough ender pearls actually, but I might. Shit, I should have taken Jack. Fuck. It's always too late whenever I think, oh, I should have took Jack. Here, Birch. Birch, where the fuck are you? Hey, there it is. There you go, and I don't have to stay out too late. Oh, what the fuck? This oak tree started growing into the other tree. Neat. Put that on R mildly interesting. Dude, I've been doing yes, I have been doing the Reddit stuff, but I've been loving doing the Reddit stuff. Hopefully it actually lasts, because there'll be points where it's like, oh, I like doing these, and I'll record a fair bit of them, but they just won't go out just because I don't think to edit them. So yeah, and I did a video on Bone Apple Tea, R1 Apple Tea, the last video to go out, like back in February, maybe February or March probably, and I did a video on that, but I just never edited it because I never thought to really. But yeah, I don't know. Hopefully the Reddit stuff lasts, because that's what actually does decently. Whereas Minecraft doesn't. So I'm still doing it on here, but I'm just leaving it unlisted so I'm not like, oh, was it not getting any views? Much like the Dark Wolf Volume 1 stuff. It's like that I could care less, because it's all unlisted, so the only way you can find it is through the playlist. So that I don't care if you find or not. But yeah, I was watching this thing this morning. I got up at 20 to 2. I was watching because I watched a video from Nickelodeon, and then it just a bunch of stuff from them is getting into my recommended now. So there's a Devin Werkheiser from Ned's Declassified. Oh, fucking get over here, creeper, you cunt. Hold on, you son of a bitch. But yeah, so he went on there and he talked about Ned's, and he was like, imagine having your puberty age, you going through puberty being documented. And I'm like, well, I don't have to imagine it. It fucking happened, because I started doing videos when I was 11. So I don't have to imagine it. I did it. Yeah, it is weird having those, like, looking back and hearing your voice, and it's like, oh. And another thing with me, because I'm losing my hair, it's weird, because I was watching, I think it was a fidget spinner video. I was watching that video the other day, and it's like, I was messing with my hair, and I pull it up, and I see that I have like I have like like a normal hairline. I'm like, oh fuck, I missed that. I missed that. It's like right at the front of my head, whereas now it's like more so. Well, you can tell it's not great, and those hairs, they've always been baby. So yeah, or for as long as I can remember, I guess. Wait, what am I doing up here? All right. Oh yeah, I was gonna grab a sign. I'm gonna sleep. But yeah, good to know I wasn't losing my hair in 8th grade. Yeah, that fucking sucks, dude. Losing my hair so young. Oh wait, no, it's not Trevor's. It's Trevi's. Dakotan Pub. But yeah, did I mention what this is? This is just gonna be a brewing area. Yeah, so now I'm gonna get some dark oak. I didn't even think about what I was gonna do for the interior. But yeah, I'm gonna get some. Dude, today, holding me accountable. I'm gonna get some paintings because I've wanted to do that for a while, but I just haven't. Oh, I don't quite have enough ender pearls. I don't know why I'm looking in here. That's not where wood is. There. But yeah, this will be just for the bar. Oh, I should make a trapdoor. How do you do that? Is it like that? Yeah, it is. Right? Yeah. I don't fucking care about ads. So shut the fuck up. Granted, this is small, but it doesn't need to be big. And it's nothing like Patty's, but you know what? Oh well. The most it is the brick. Well, I could have used brick, but I didn't want to do brick again because I did it for the bell tower. So I figured, you know what? I have a bunch of granite. Let's do that, and then also the andesite instead of just stone. So yeah, that works. And then place this down here, and then a chest there. I should get another chest too. Should make another one so that then I can have one for already brewed potions and then one for materials for potions. And I've never once brewed before. So why am I making that? For the dragon. How likely is it that I'm gonna beat it? I don't know. Is that gonna be how I end this? Probably season 1. But yeah, I think I'm gonna do that, and then I'm gonna try to do the wither, because I want to do that like PewDiePie said this in his video, but he wanted to do it like at his house and have like an end game looking thing, and I thought that's really cool. So I'm gonna do that. Whenever I'm done with this, I'm gonna do the wither, and I'm gonna fight that bitch here. There's no torch there. I never realized that before. But yeah, the only reason there's torches lining the walls everywhere is because I used shaders and it was dark as hell. So I was like, you know what? I need to brighten this up. Whereas if I'm in default, it doesn't change anything. What was I gonna do? Oh yeah, I was gonna get signs to label them. Yes, I almost fucked that up. I almost made trapdoors and by accident. I'd have been mad. Fucking you, fucking idiot. Break my monitor because of it. Beers. Ingredients. Alright, and we have 1 beer. So yeah, I think that's about it. But I'm gonna make some paintings to put up because bars usually have paintings, I guess. How do you make paintings? I think you need wool? Is that wool? Nope, that's quartz. Where's all the white wool? Did I use it all? There's red wool. Where's... Do I not have any white wool? Am I gonna have to go sheep shearing? I'm gonna have to go shear some sheep. I haven't had to do this for a bit. I haven't done anything with the animals for a bit. I haven't done anything with the animals since last week. Oh, what the fuck? Where's the... Where's the thing? Where's the... shears? Probably up here. Oh yeah, there they are. I was like, what the fuck? Where are they then? They're not in here. Did I lose them? Maybe. I was apparently born in a barn. I haven't closed that door. I haven't closed that door. You guys need to fuck. Damn it, there's no wheat. I haven't harvested in a good bit either. I don't know why I was looking in there. Looking if I had any wheat. Wait a minute. I have wheat in the house. Dude, I really like how my house looks. I don't know why. This is probably my favorite world I've ever had. Because wait, what was I gonna do? Oh yeah, I was gonna grab wheat. I've one. Do I really only have one thing of wheat? What the fuck? I guess the rest I made into bread. But yeah, I don't know. This is the most I've done in a world. I've made a farm. I made both farms. I still need to make a third one for like not potatoes, for pumpkins and melons and all that. But yeah, I don't know where to do it though. Is the thing. But yeah, I don't know. It's probably my favorite world I've ever played in. Just because I've done so much, and it's some fun stuff, dude. Some fun stuff, my dude. Remember the first episode where I went to get iron for a bucket and then we lost John instead? It's kind of funny thinking back to that, and I was like, oh, and I didn't even think to go back and look. Shit. Because someone's a dummy and doesn't think. You already all grew back your shit? What the fuck? I don't know why I'm getting so much wool. Because I don't know how to make... All I know is you need wool. Because I looked it up. Because I wanted to do this like the second or third episode, make paintings. But I just haven't. I think you need sticks and wool? Maybe? I don't know. I've never done this before. Alright. Well, guess it won't tell me, so I'm just guessing. Ayo! 5 paintings, that's plenty. Alright. So... Gonna put some behind the bar. Oh, that's too big. That's too big. Too big. Well, guess I'm doing what I've always done to get the size I've wanted. Good enough. I'm waiting for this to die. I'm surprised it hasn't broken yet. There. there, and then... Yeah. I want two the same. Yeah, sure. No, I want one big one. Why is it not giving me any big ones? Why isn't it giving any big boys? There we go. There we go. Alright, so now the bar is complete. And I got one painting left to put up in my house. I could always make more, but... There we go. That actually works really well. Nice. Good thing the torch is there. Why is there only... Why isn't there a torch right there? What the fuck? Well, since it is nighttime, I may as well sleep. How long have I been going? Only in a half hour, and I'm already done. I'm done with the pub. Wait a minute, I should look to see what you can use to brew. What can you use to brew potions in Minecraft? Nether wart. I got some of that. Oh shit. My phone's gonna fall off my desk. Can you set it right on this? It's a pop socket that I just fuck with. I don't fuck it. Calm down. Where is my nether wart? I had some. Did I? I can't remember if I actually made nether brick or not last episode. Glowstone dust. I had some of that. I don't think I do anymore. I can get some though, real nice and quick. Wow, look it. Here, I'm gonna put everything I have right now back, actually. Terracotta, polished granite, green terracotta, polish. Dude, this is getting full. I could make the oh, I have 4. I have 4 stacks of diamonds. Whoops. I could make them into blocks like the rest, but I like seeing that I have 4 stacks of diamonds. Because I'm a pretentious prick, apparently. Oh, I didn't put the wool back. I like how there's nothing in this chest, but it's all in this one. Okay. Glistering melon, spider eyes, I got those. Magma cream, I got some of that. Sugar, I could have some of that real quick. Right? Yeah. Right, I have no other use for sugarcane, so I'm gonna make this all into sugar. And blaze powder, I'm not using that unless I have to. Alright. Now we got the ingredients for our beer. Ah, shit. I'm gonna have to get some heck tons of glass. Because you need bottles. Well, heck. Guess I'm gonna have to go digging. Can you make bottles out of green glass? Nope. Is that even how you make it? Yeah, it is. Okay. So I got 3. I'm gonna go digging. How much you want to bet this will break? It probably will. Because it only has 19 durability left. Wait, are you selling bottles, mister? Hey, mister! Hey, fella. Oh, there you are. You selling bottles? No, you're not. You selling bottles? Uh-huh. No. Dude, none of the villagers want to trade with me because I tried finding a cartographer, but I don't know what they look like because I want to go to the Woodland Mansion. And I also tried looking for a librarian. I couldn't find one of those. And because I want mending. So I got shafted by the village. Because none of them want to trade with me. Because I click on them and they're like, huh. And then they shake their head at me. I'm like, fuck you too then. What are you doing by my sugarcane? Don't you fuck it. Look over, his dick's in the sugarcane. What the fuck? What is wrong with me? I think I got a brain problem. Phone, you better keep doing what you're doing and shut off. Because I don't care. I'm not using you. Right, now I gotta make all this into glass. And then we're good. Alright, put some in there. I don't care. Oh, I can't skip. I was like, I don't care. I want to skip it. I was like, oh wait, you can't do that. Can you smell glass in a... Nope. Or not smell glass, but smell stuff into glass. Alright, let's make a shovel. Hey everybody, welcome to this new thing I made up called a Let's Make. I didn't... Rose? It's Rick Ross. Your name is Rick Ross. At least I think that's what he meant. I don't fucking know. Ah! I keep fucking it up. Fuck! There we go. There. That's a bit easier than doing it with the buttons or with the numbers. I don't know why, but I've gotten into a habit of just hitting the mic. How much you want to bet this mic won't last me 5 years? No, it was like 4, probably. Closer to that than 5. Yeah, if I were to get a new mic ever, I'd probably get an XLR one. Just because I don't know whether or not they're actually better, but it's like people seem to more get those than over USB ones, but I don't know. If I were to, I'd probably get a AT2020. Because this one's an Audio-Technica, but it's ATR 2500, I think. Some stupid shit like that. 2020, that's next year. Dude, that's fucking weird. It's the end of the decade. That's really weird to think about. And also, this will be the last teen year in our lifetimes. Everyone who's competent, I guess. and not to say that, like, I don't mean that in an offensive way. I just mean that, like, babies will probably live to, like, no, that'll probably still even be early 2100s. I could not have made those any stupider. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. There we go. Now we got 39 bottles of beer on the wall. 39 bottles of beer. You take one down, pass it around. 38. Now there's 38 bottles of beer on the wall. Alright, now I gotta change this sign. Ingredients. And bottles. No, and pints. I don't know. Just so it's like more beer stuff. So yeah. I guess it would make more sense if this was behind me, right? Yeah, I guess. So what's a bar? What would that look like? I guess I could just do a dark oak, I guess. Whoa! I got an email. I just turned on notifications for email. Just so that then in case anyone wants to email me for whatever reason, then I'm ready. Because then I can respond to it pretty quickly. And then, granted, I haven't gotten an email. Last person I got an email from was my uncle, and I was the one who sent it initially because I wanted to ask him something. But yeah, that was the last time me and someone emailed back and forth. Well, no, it was for a podcast. Because I was gonna be a guest on someone's podcast, but that fell through. Because the guy never messaged me about doing it. So I was like, oh, apparently he doesn't give a shit if I'm on it or not. So, yeah, that fell through. But yeah, so here's the bar. All right, better lock up shop. Tick, 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 tick. There we go. That's what it sounds like to lock up. Why is it laggy? I just start moving and I'm looking at OBS while I do so, and it's just lag. It's just my camera though. So now how do you make potions? Wait, what did I say I wanted to do? I said I wanted to do something else, but I don't fucking know. Alright. Ah, shit, I need a cauldron. How do you make one of those? So for water. How to make a cauldron Minecraft. 7 iron ingots. Ah, that's a lot. I got it though. I have no use for iron really at this point. That's the thing, like once you get to diamond and you have like full diamond and stuff, it's like there's really no use for iron at that point. So is it like that? Yeah, it is. Okay, I just guessed. And I have a bucket of water in here, don't I? Yup. I think I know I think you just have to put 1 in here. Because it's not like an infinite water source or anything. Oh, I was a Minecraft YouTuber once. Alright. There we go. Alright. So now... Oh, shit! I didn't know you could use up the water. Look at that. Well, I better leave the bucket in here then. I should make an infinite water source out back. So yeah, for this you just need... For this tutorial, you'll only need a 2x2. You'll need to cut out 4 blocks in a square pattern. And then you'll need a bucket. You'll want a body of water nearby so you can easily do this. If you only have 1 bucket, like me, You want to go down. You want to get the water in the bucket. You want to place down one thing of water. You want to go down and get another bucket, and then there it is, infinite water. At that point, I should just keep the infinite water source. Who fucking needs a cauldron? I just have the infinite water source inside. Then when it gets hot in the bar, then we can just go for a dip. I think you only need 2, right? Yeah. Right? Yeah. Okay. Maybe I should have 2 cauldrons. So when one runs out, I can just take the water out of, and take the water out of the one and put it in there. No, I'll just keep the one. All right. So how? Okay. So I want to look at what potions are good for the Ender Dragon. What potions should I bring to the end? Wait, strength and slow falling. I guess I'll make strength first and foremost. I don't understand any of that. How to make strength potions in Minecraft? How do you make strength? I need 1 water bottle, 1 nether wart, and 1 blaze powder. Fuck! Oh, that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to get blaze. How do I make the slow falling one? How to make slow falling potions. You need 1 redstone. Wait. 1 potion of slow falling. Wait. To make a potion of slow falling, 4 minutes, you'll need 1 potion of slow falling. I didn't ask how to make a long one. What the fuck is any of this? None of this makes any goddamn sense. I need a phantom membrane and nether wart. I don't have nether wart. But a phantom membrane. I got a couple of those, I think. I have like 3, actually. From all the ones I killed. No, I think I only have 2, actually. Because I killed all 3, but I think I only got the membranes from 2 of them, or something like that. Oh, there they are. Yeah, I only got 2. Wait a minute, I'm gonna put my bucket back in here. Shit, I didn't want to put the compass in there. Idiot. Alright, guess I'm going to the nether. Here we go. Oh boy, spooky. I have full enchanted diamond armor and a damn good sword. Oh god, lag. Uh-oh, encoding overloaded. Not anymore though, bitch. Ah, shit. Wait, was there another rock down there? There was. There still is, too. There was and there is. I was playing a mod pack, just kind of testing it out, and I wanted to see what was in the nether. The nether rack used to be fucking ugly. It was not a good sight to see. I didn't even notice that they changed it until I saw that. I was like, oh yeah, they did change it. That used to look like shit. Because it was not pleasant on the eye. It was really gross. Uh-oh. There's a ghast out there. Get over here, fucker! Get fucking fucked, dude. Oh wait, I didn't want to go up there. I wanted to get another wart. I don't know why. I just was like, you know what? I'm gonna go up. I'm gonna go through the portal. Why? I don't know. But that would lead me to another wart. Yes. I don't care. I don't grill. I don't know how. That'll let me listen to my awesome playlist. Whoa, look at this. What are you doing back here? Jerking off? Alright, I'll leave you to it. Yeah, too bad I don't have one near me, bitch. I love Spotify, but whenever there's ads while I'm streaming, it's always annoying. Like, fuck you. Fuck you for making money. That's what it was like when Metallica wanted to sue Napster. They were like, fuck you for making money. Granted, yes, they were successful, but it's like, granted, they could be fine with not making money sales from albums, but it's like, they don't want to get fucked over. They don't want to put all this time and effort into making an album and get no reward from it. Especially for how infrequently they make albums. Like, in between Saint Anger, or no, not Saint Anger. In between Saint Anger and Death Magnetic, they were pretty close. It was like 5 years. Granted, not a super close amount of time in between, but it's closer than in between Death Magnetic and Hardwired. Spawn! Spawn! Spawn, you pussy! Am I too close? Would you fucking spawn, you ah! Spawn, please. Then I don't want him to spawn. Ah, shit! If I die, I'm gonna be pissed. There. Oh, fuck, I only got one, you sons of bitches. Spawn. Oh, no, stop spawning. Oh, there is something there. It looked flat, and I was like, what the fuck? The heck is that? I wonder, is there multiple fortresses? If I go far enough, would I find another fortress? Would another one load in new chunks? Because the worlds are endless, aren't they? Or do they have limits? So I'm pretty sure you can just keep going and going. You'll never hit the edge. Much like real life, but apparently people don't want to believe that. I didn't even think about using the bow. Ah, you sons of bitch! Ah, fuck, why'd I grab the bow? Here's where I wanted to go. I think I got all the nether wart down this way. I don't know why I'm still looking. While I'm looking through the chest, I know there's nothing. I'm trying to think, how did I start talking about Metallica and Napster and all that? 'Cause I don't even know. God damn it, where's the nether wart? I don't know. Oh well. I'll find it off stream. No, I probably will. Ah, shoot. I don't know why I censored myself. I didn't even mean to. That was just my genuine reaction. Dude, I was scrolling through old tweets or not yesterday, but the other day. And I read that I saw it that I had tweeted about the time when I don't remember what exactly I was doing, but I was messing with the lamp with a lamp, and I burnt my hand on it because the bulb was still on, I guess. Or I was changing a light bulb or something. I don't remember what I was doing, but and I did it, and I was like, "Ouchie, fucker!" Because I was messing with that, and then it burned me, and I was like, "Ah, fucker, ouchie, fucker." Now I got a blaze rod. Dude, that'd be cool if you could right click and then it'd shoot like fire or something. That'd be neat. I guess I'm one step closer to the end. Much like school, which is weird. Cause just one more year and I'm done with that shit. Hopefully, at least, never have to step foot in the classroom ever again. Because if I do college, I'll probably do it online, if anything. Get fucked. But yeah, I think I've been going for a good hour. I think I got what I wanted to do done. So I think that I'll end this here. I think I'm going to end it here because I got all that up and going. I got a blaze rod. I didn't get everything for the potions, but I didn't make anything. So I don't know. And I don't know. I just wanted to get this built. So that then when we do eventually go and kill the dragon, then I'll be ready, I guess. So yeah. That's it. Bye. Would you switch scenes already?